Good day everyone! For today's video, we're going to discuss ellipse. First, let's define ellipse. An ellipse is a set of all points xy in a plane such that the sum of their distances from two fixed points is a constant. Now, let's define the parts of an ellipse. Every ellipse has two axes of symmetry. The longer axis is called the major axis, and the shortest axis is called the minor axis. Each endpoint of the major axis is called the vertex. So in plural, it is vertices. And each endpoint of the minor axis is a co-vertex of the ellipse. The center of an ellipse is the midpoint of both the major and minor axis. The axes are perpendicular at the center. The foci always lie on the major axis, and the sum of their distances from the foci to any point on the ellipse, which is the constant sum, is greater than the distance between the foci. There are two orientations of ellipse. It's either vertical or horizontal. Vertical siya kung ang major axis ay parallel to the y-axis. And then, it is horizontal kung ang major axis ay parallel to the x-axis. Now, let's proceed to the standard form of the equation of an ellipse with center 0, 0. The major axis parallel to the x-axis, the standard equation is x squared over a squared plus y squared over b squared equals 1, where a is greater than b. The length of the major axis is 2a, and the length of the minor axis is 2b. The coordinates of the vertices are positive, negative a, and 0. While the coordinates of the co-vertices are 0, positive, negative b. The coordinates of the foci are positive, negative c, 0, where c squared is equal to a squared minus b squared. Now, if the major axis is parallel to the y-axis, the standard equation is x squared over b squared plus y squared over a squared equals 1, where a is greater than b. And then the length of the major axis, always remember, it is 2a, while the length of the minor axis is always 2b. The coordinates of the vertices are 0, positive, negative a. The coordinates of the co-vertices are positive, negative b, 0. The coordinates of the foci are 0, positive, negative c, where c squared is equals to a squared minus b squared. Always remember that a is greater than c and b. And then always remember also that the vertices, co-vertices, and the foci are related by the equation c squared equals a squared minus b squared. Next, the standard form of the equation of an ellipse with center hk, ibig sabihin wala siya sa kanyang origin. Major axis parallel to the x-axis, the equation is x minus h squared over a squared plus y minus b squared over b squared equals 1, where a is greater than b. The length of the major axis is always 2a, while the length of the minor axis is always 2b. The coordinates of the vertices are h positive, negative a, k, then the coordinates of the co-vertices are h, k positive, negative b. The coordinates of the foci are h positive, negative c, k, where c squared equals a squared minus b squared. If the major axis is parallel to the y-axis, the equation is x minus a squared over b squared plus y minus k squared over a squared equals 1, where a is also greater than b. And then the length of the major axis is also 2a, and the length of the minor axis is always 2b. The coordinates of the vertices are h, k positive, negative b, and then the coordinates of the co-vertices are h positive, negative b, k. The coordinates of the foci are h, k positive, negative c, where c squared is equals to a squared minus b squared. Just as with ellipses are centered at the origin, ellipses that are centered at a point hk have vertices, co-vertices, and foci that are related by the equation c squared equals to a squared minus b squared. Laging related yan o laging nandiyan sa equation na yan ang vertices, co-vertices, and foci. We can use this relationship along with the midpoint and distance formulas to find the equation of the ellipse in standard form when the vertices and foci are given. Without further ado, let's do an activity para mas hindi nyo maunawaan ang ellipse. Now let's do an activity. Find the standard form of the equation of the ellipse with center negative 3, 5, horizontal major axis of length 60, minor axis of length 40. So, ang sabi dito, horizontal major axis. Ibig sabihin, ang ating ellipse ay horizontal dahil parallel siya to the x-axis. Kapag parallel siya to the x-axis, ang standard form na gagamitin natin ay x minus h squared over e squared plus y minus k squared over b squared equals 1. Now, let's substitute the center, negative 3, 5. Ito yung h and k natin. So, kapag sinubstitute natin siya, pag sinubstitute natin sa negative 3 kay h, magiging siyang positive dahil kami negative sign pa. And then, pag sinubstitute natin si 5 kay k, so ito na yung kalalabasan. So, x plus 3 and then y minus 5. So now, we need to find a square and b square. Ang sabi dito, horizontal major axis length of 16. Ibig sabihin, ang major axis natin ay 16. Ito yung ating 2a. So, 2a is equals to 16. So, yun nga ang ating major axis. We need to divide it into 2. And then, a is equals to a. Dahil nga, a square ang hinahanap, we need to square a. So, ang sagot ay 64. Ang a square natin ay 64. At next, ang minor axis natin ay 14. So, ito yung 2b natin. 2b equals 14, divide both side by 2. And then, b is 7. So, ang need natin ay b square. So, we need to square it. So, ang sagot ay 49. Next, we need to substitute it. So, the answer is x plus 3 square over 64 plus y minus 5 square over 49 equals 1. That's the standard form of the equation. Let's proceed to the next item. Gives the coordinate of the foci, vertices, and co-vertices of the ellipse with a given equation x minus 3 square over 25 plus y plus 2 square over 9 equals 1. So, ang ating h here or ang ating center ay 3, negative 2. Kapag in-equate natin sa 0, magiging sagot ay 3, negative 2. Next, always remember that foci, vertices, and co-vertices are related with the equation c squared equals a squared minus b squared. So, we need to find c squared. So, let's substitute a square which is 25 and b square which is 9. So, c square equals 16. So, ang ating c ay positive negative 4. Now, ang ating a square is 25. So, ang ating a ay 5. And then, ang ating b square ay 9. So, ang ating b ay 3. Now, let us find the foci. Ang coordinates ng foci ay h positive negative c, k. So, we need to substitute 3 to h and positive negative 4 to c and negative 2 to k. So, let's separate it. So, magkakaroon tayo ng 3 plus 4, negative 2, 3 minus 4, negative 2. So, let's answer it. So, our foci are 7, negative 2, negative 1, negative 2. That's the focus 1 and 2. Next, let's find the vertices. Ang coordinates niya ay h positive negative a and k. So, ang ating h ay 3 at ang ating a ay 5. So, ang ating k naman ay negative 2. Let's separate it. So, 3 minus 5, negative 2, and 3 plus 5, negative 2. So, our vertices are vertex 1, negative 2, negative 2, and vertex 2, 8, negative 2. Last, let's find the co-vertices. Ang coordinate ng co-vertices ay h, k positive negative b. So, let's substitute again. 3, negative 2, and then
Our B is 3, so positive, negative 3. So let's separate again. Meron tayong dalawang equation. 3, negative 2, negative 3. And 3, negative 2, positive 3. So let's answer, simplify. So our co-vertex 1 is 3, negative 5, and co-vertex 2, 3, 1. So again, our foci is 7, negative 2, and negative 1, negative 2. Our vertices are negative 2, negative 2, 8, negative 2. Sometimes, hinihingi ano ang length ng major and minor axis. So, madali lang yun. So, we need to multiply A into 2 para mahanap natin ang major axis. So, 2 multiplied by 5 equals 10. That's the major axis. And then, we need to multiply B into 2 para mahanap naman natin ang minor axis. So, 2 multiplied by 3 equals 6. So, kapag finlat natin siya sa graph, ito ang kalalagasan niya. Lagi nyo lang tatandaan na ang center, foci, at vertices ay collinear. Ibig sabihin nun, nasa isang linya lang sila. So, ang ating center ay 3, negative 2, which is HK. And then our vertex 1 is negative 2, negative 2. Our vertex 2 is 8, negative 2. That's our vertices. While our co-vertex is 3, 1, and our co-vertex 2 is 3, negative 5. While our foci or our focus 1 is negative 1, negative 2, and our focus 2 is 7, negative 2. Parallel siya to the x-axis kaya horizontal ellipse siya. I hope na pagkatapos yung mga panonood ng video na to, ay may natutunan kayo tungkol sa ellipse. Thank you for watching!